The room was electric. Thousands of believers gathered for Kojik's 117th Holy Convocation. But no one was ready for what came next. In the middle of powerful worship and solemn reflection, Bishop Talbert W. Swan took the microphone. And what he said sent shock waves across the church world and the internet. He didn't rebuke sin. He didn't call out the world. He called out YouTubers. And in doing so, opened a firestorm of truth, tension, and conviction that's still echoing online today. Because this wasn't just a sermon, it was a warning. And it was personal. For over a century, the Church of God in Christ's Holy Convocation has been a sacred gathering, a time of revival, unity, and renewal for one of the largest Pentecostal movements in the world. Every November, thousands from across the nation travel to be part of it, hoping to feel the power, hear the word, and witness something unforgettable. But this year's 117th Convocation wasn't remembered just for the preaching or the worship. It was remembered for a moment that sparked a nationwide conversation, and not the kind most people expected. Bishop Talbert W. Swan, known for his unapologetic boldness and sharp commentary on social issues, stood at the podium and delivered a message that caught the attention of millions both inside and outside the church. His words weren't directed at political leaders or even at sinners on the street. They were aimed squarely at a growing group online, Christian YouTubers. In an era where everyone has a platform and every sermon can go viral, Swan didn't hold back. He rebuked what he described as digital gossip, self-proclaimed prophets, and content creators exploiting church controversy for clicks. His tone wasn't bitter, it was burdened. He spoke like a shepherd defending his flock, but also like a man frustrated with the culture of exposure that has overtaken parts of the Christian internet. You could feel the crowd's energy shift. Some nodded in agreement, clapping in support. Others sat frozen, uncertain of where this was going. The moment was tense, raw, and real. Because Bishop Swan's rebuke wasn't just about YouTubers. It was about the church's image, the erosion of trust, and the spiritual war being fought in public view. But what made this moment truly explosive wasn't just what he said. It was how the internet responded afterward. And that's where the story takes a turn, one that no one saw coming. The 117th Holy Convocation had begun like any other, a sea of believers filling the massive sanctuary, the choir's voices soaring, and the weight of anticipation hanging heavy in the air. Every year, this sacred event gathers some of the most powerful voices in Pentecostalism, from seasoned bishops to young preachers. It's a celebration of faith, tradition, and spiritual renewal. But this year, something was different. The energy was strong, but the undertone felt uneasy, as if the church itself was standing at a crossroads. Social media chatter had already been buzzing leading up to the event. Clips, commentary, and criticism about church leadership had been circulating online for weeks. YouTube, once a tool for ministry, had become a battlefield, a place where preachers, prophets, and even pew members debated, dissected, and sometimes disrespected the church in the name of truth-telling. So when Bishop Talbert W. Swan took the stage, there was already tension in the atmosphere, though no one knew how direct his message would be. He began with authority, his voice calm but commanding. His words carried that unmistakable tone of a man who had seen too much and was tired of pretending that everything was fine. "Everybody's got a microphone now," he said, scanning the audience. "Everybody's got a camera, a channel, and an opinion about the church. But let me tell you something. Talking about the church doesn't mean you're part of the church." The congregation stirred. A few chuckles, a few amens, but he wasn't joking. His voice grew stronger, conviction dripping from every syllable. He continued, "We've got people building platforms off of the pain of the saints. People turning ministry moments into monetized content. People who don't pray, don't serve, don't show up to church, but they've got all the commentary about those who do." Now the crowd wasn't laughing. They were listening. Some nodded in agreement. Others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The truth was hitting home. As cameras panned across the audience, you could see expressions ranging from conviction to caution. They knew who he was talking about. The wave of church commentary channels that had exploded across YouTube and TikTok. Some of these creators had gained massive followings by dissecting sermons, exposing scandals, and critiquing church leaders. Some did it with integrity. Others did it for influence. Bishop Swan didn't name names, but he didn't have to. Everyone understood the message. He leaned closer to the microphone, his tone sharpening. Let me help some of y'all. You can't build your ministry by tearing down somebody else's. You can't build God's kingdom by destroying his people online. That's not discernment. That's disrespect. The sanctuary erupted in applause and a few shouts of agreement. But not everyone was clapping. For some, his words felt like a challenge, an uncomfortable mirror held up to a new generation of digital preachers who believed they were holding leaders accountable. And that's what made this moment so explosive. Because Bishop Swan wasn't just talking to strangers on the internet. He was speaking directly to a growing tension between the pulpit and the platform. He went on, saying, "We've got saints spending more time watching gossip channels than studying the Word. We've got folks chasing controversy instead of chasing Christ. And we wonder why the world doesn't take us seriously anymore." His words echoed like thunder through the hall. There was conviction in his tone, but also a deep sadness, the kind that comes from watching something sacred become commercialized. By the time he finished that segment, the room was still. Some clapped, some cried, and others sat quietly, processing every word. What Bishop Swan might not have known at that moment was that his own sermon would soon become the very thing he warned against, the next viral topic across social media. Because within hours, clips of his rebuke hit YouTube, and the online firestorm began. But what happened next was even more surprising, because not everyone agreed with him. Some defended him passionately, while others accused him of trying to silence accountability in the church. That's where the real debate began. And it quickly got personal. By the next morning, clips of Bishop Talbert W. Swan's message were everywhere: Twitter, TikTok, Instagram Reels, and of course, YouTube. Each platform was flooded with short snippets, dramatic captions, and strong opinions. Some clips only showed a few seconds of his rebuke, enough to stir emotion, but not enough to show his full intent. Others were edited to look even more confrontational than they were. Within hours, the headlines were forming themselves. Bishop calls out YouTubers live at Kojic convocation. Talbert Swan exposes online preachers. Kojic Bishop rebukes content creators for using the church for clout. The digital world had turned the holy convocation into a trending topic. YouTubers who specialized in faith commentary, the very ones Bishop Swan had indirectly referenced, started responding almost immediately. Some uploaded videos titled, "So Bishop Swan thinks he can silence the truth, and the church is afraid of accountability. Here's why." Others defended him, saying, "He's right. Too many people are profiting from church drama instead of promoting unity." The comment sections became battlegrounds. On one side were those who believed Bishop Swan was protecting the sanctity of the church, tired of seeing sacred spaces turned into public spectacles. On the other were content creators who argued that the church had lost credibility by hiding behind titles instead of addressing issues. And somewhere in between were millions of viewers trying to figure out who was right. The truth is, this moment wasn't just about Bishop Swan. It was about something much bigger, a cultural shift happening inside Christianity itself. Over the past decade, YouTube had quietly become a new kind of pulpit. It gave everyone a voice, from ordained bishops to ordinary believers with a camera and conviction. What used to be discussed behind church doors was now being streamed, shared, and debated worldwide. There was a new generation of digital ministers who believed transparency was the new form of truth-telling. They saw themselves as reformers, exposing hypocrisy, highlighting injustice, and demanding honesty from those in power. But traditional leaders saw something else: disorder, disrespect, and destruction. And Bishop Talbert W. Swan, known for his bold stances on social justice, seemed to draw a line that night. He wasn't just addressing online critics. He was defending what he believed to be sacred order, the idea that ministry must come from accountability, not algorithms. Within days, reaction videos began to multiply. Some creators dissected every word Bishop Swan said, playing his sermon back frame by frame, adding commentary, laughter, or sarcasm. Others sat in silence, visibly shaken, saying things like, "Maybe he's right. Maybe we've lost the reverence that used to define the church." Meanwhile, Bishop Swan himself did not back down. On his official social media, he posted messages reaffirming his stance, writing that social media should be used to uplift, not to destroy. He made it clear he wasn't against YouTubers. He was against those using the church as entertainment. But still, the lines had been drawn. The internet began categorizing voices, those who stood with Bishop Swan and those who stood against him. And this divide revealed something deeper about the modern church, the tension between the old guard